It's August 21st, 2017, and it's time to review 5 of the most outrageous, infuriating, or just plain baffling things that have happened lately. It's your Facepalm 5. Let's count them down. Number 1, Charlottesville. So yeah, here we are. A little over a week ago in Charlottesville, Virginia, a crowd of white supremacists assembled to protest the proposed removal of a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee from the grounds of Emancipation Park, which was actually called Lee Park until this past June, when the mayor and city council voted unanimously to change it. See how easy that is? Some of the protesters carried Nazi flags, others carried the American equivalent of the Nazi flag, the Confederate flag. That Friday, many carried torches, tiki torches, but you get the idea, to a nighttime gathering on the campus of the University of Virginia. The next day, they gathered for their planned Unite the Right rally, and that afternoon, after brawls began to break out between the Nazis and counter-protesters, the crowd was ordered to disperse. At around 1:45 that afternoon, a man named James Fields Jr. drove a car into a crowd of counter-protesters, injuring several and killing Heather Heyer, a 32-year-old woman from Charlottesville. Driving a car into a crowd of protesters. I wonder where he got that idea. In a completely unrelated story, number 2, Fox News deletes story encouraging people to hit protesters with cars. 3 days after the murder of Heather Heyer, a reporter for CNN noticed that Fox Nation, a website operated by Fox News, was missing an article. The article, originally published on the Daily Caller, was picked up and reposted by Fox Nation and several other right-wing websites. It included a video consisting of clips of cars driving through crowds of protesters with accompanying text that read, "Study the technique. It may prove useful in the next 4 years." Then, like magic, the Tuesday following the Charlottesville attack, the article was gone from Fox Nation and the Daily Caller. Like it was never there! Except it was there, and lots of people read it. Lots of people read the article on Fox Nation about driving cars into crowds of protesters before Fox Nation took the article down after someone drove a car through a crowd of protesters. Speaking of the Daily Caller, back in March, in response to the Native Nations Rise protesters who gathered around the White House to oppose construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline, Katie Freites, an editor for the Daily Caller, tweeted this, quote, "I wonder how many Native Nations Rise no DAPL protesters I could run over before I got arrested." She deleted it though, so it's all good. I'm sure hardly anyone even saw it. Number 3, police arrest statue vandals, not violent Nazis. I know it's easy to get depressed about all of this, but don't be disheartened. Take some comfort from the fact that the police in Charlottesville were out in force and had the situation well under control. Like these. No, actually, those are armed militia members. But these, no, still not cops. Those are white supremacists wearing helmets and carrying shields. No cops there. Still no cops. Where are the... There they are, guarding the statue, because heaven forbid any harm should come to it. Glad they've got their priorities sorted. Shame there wasn't such a robust police presence surrounding the Confederate statue in Durham, North Carolina that was toppled the Monday after the Unite the Right rally. Takia Thompson, a black woman who helped to pull that statue down, was arrested 24 hours later, and as of this recording, 8 people involved in the taking down of that Confederate statue have been arrested by Durham police. So, justice prevailed. Not for these guys. To date, none of them have been arrested. There they are, beating a black man with sticks. No arrests yet. But don't worry, because in the South, they take vandalism of Confederate monuments very seriously. Number 4, Bannon attempts to flip-flop on the alt-right. On Tuesday, Steve Bannon, the semi-animate rancid sausage who, until recently, was serving as one of Donald Trump's chief advisors in the White House, gave an impromptu interview to the magazine The American Prospect. During the interview, Bannon declared that the Nazis who gathered in Charlottesville were, quote, clowns, and that ethno-nationalists were, quote, losers who the administration should be doing more to crush, a very suspect sentiment coming from a man who once said that Breitbart, the far-right website he led prior to joining Team Trump, was a, quote, platform for the alt-right. Bannon also said he hoped Democrats continued to talk about racism because then Republicans could, quote, crush them. You really get a sense of the man's deep moral outrage over white supremacy when he mocks Democrats for being upset about it and openly crows about the political gains he hopes Republicans can make by ignoring it. Hey, guess what time it is? It's time for the segment devoted to some of the other things Donald Trump has done to disgrace the presidency and embarrass and or endanger the United States and the rest of the world lately. It's number 5, the further misadventures of Lord Dampnut. Please keep in mind, as always, the following is not a complete list. In fact, doubly so this time, because let's just stick with Charlottesville, shall we? Trump's initial response was to condemn bigotry and violence, quote, on many sides, which pointedly avoided blaming, the Nazis who had beaten and killed people. 2 days later, with all the righteous conviction of a hostage being forced to read a statement by his captors at gunpoint, Trump did manage to condemn the KKK, neo-Nazis, and white supremacists. But the day after that, when questioned by reporters following a speech about infrastructure delivered at Trump Tower, Trump doubled down on his original statement, which he described as, quote, beautiful, blamed the media for holding the white supremacists responsible for the violence rather than the counter-protesters, and insisted that not everyone who came to Charlottesville to participate in the Unite the Right rally was a white supremacist, adding, quote, there were very fine people on both sides. Very fine people. Marching shoulder to shoulder with people carrying Nazi flags. Very fine people. He also spent much more time and seemed far more agitated when objecting to the proposed removal of Confederate statues than he did while supposedly condemning and renouncing violent, murdering white supremacists. When asked during that Trump Tower appearance why he had waited so long to explicitly condemn white supremacists for Charlottesville, Trump responded that he just wanted to make sure he had all of his facts right. He wanted to make sure what he was saying was correct. On Thursday, mere hours after what appears to have been an ISIS-inspired terrorist attack in Barcelona, Spain that killed 13 people, because yeah, that happened too, Trump tweeted, quote, study what General Pershing of the United States did to terrorists when caught. There was no more radical Islamic terror for 35 years. Now here's what's funny about that. Trump is referencing an anecdote he also told during the presidential campaign about how General Pershing, who would eventually command American forces in the First World War, massacred 50 Muslim insurgents when fighting in the Philippines during the Moro Rebellion, shooting them with bullets dipped in pig's blood, because everybody knows pig's blood is kryptonite to a Muslim, right? The thing is, that never happened. It's a myth. When the opportunity came to condemn Islamic terrorism and also to recommend mass murder of Muslims as a solution to the problem, Trump didn't seem nearly as worried about checking his facts now, did he? Gee, I wonder why that was. I'm not doing the all hail Lord Dampnut bit at the end of this. Forget that. Fuck Donald Trump. He's a disgrace. And so is everyone who still stands behind him and tries to defend him and apologize for him and make excuses. And so, by the way, are all of you who are too paralyzed by cowardice to come down and take a side on this. Those of you who, yeah, you'll condemn white supremacists, but you can't help but tut-tut the protesters in Durham for tearing down a Confederate statue without permission. Those of you who look down at people who are putting their bodies and their freedom on the line to literally stand in the way of Nazis, while you shake your heads, you fence-sitters, in disapproval from the safety and security of your well-manicured moral high ground. Only one side has Donald Trump and Nazis on it. If you still can't pick a side after knowing that, don't worry about it. You've chosen a side already. That's 5. Speak out, act out, resist, look after each other. Hey folks, thanks for watching. I hope that was of some use to you. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video or got something out of it, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, please consider helping me to continue making videos like this by supporting this channel through Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Steve Shives to become a patron of this channel. If you are willing and able and think I'm worth it and you can pledge $5 a month or more, then you can earn some extra cool perks to go with your pledge, like for instance a shout out at the end of the Facepalm 5. I don't have any to do this time because I didn't pick up any $5 or more new pledges since the last video. So there's that. Thank you all as always for watching and for all of your support in whatever form it comes. I appreciate all of you so much, and I will see you next time.